All right, call to order. Thank you for joining us this evening. Time is 5:30 p.m. on Monday, November 18th, 2024. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting for the City of Middleton. My name is Matthew Watkins, Vice Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. If we could, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the Deputy Clerk please do a roll call?
Vice Chair Watkins.
Here.
Commissioner Sparrow.
Here.
Commissioner Waltmate.
Here.
Commissioner Gregory.
Here.
Commissioner Gibson.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
All
Wait.
present. We have
Nope,
quorum.
nope, nope.
Oh, wait.
You
Oh,
missed
Commissioner Trumbull. Commissioner Trumbull.
Yes, I'm here.
I skipped right over your name.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. All here and we have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum. We may proceed. This is the time lawfully noticed for hearing scheduled for Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Middleton, Idaho, according to the posted agenda. The Deputy Clerk has confirmed we have a quorum present to hear the scheduled agenda. We got a pretty small crowd here, so the guidelines, everybody's pretty familiar with them. You gentlemen are, so I won't hash over those. We'll go through that. With that, we'll move forward on the published agenda.
You're going to do information item 1.
I can see, is that what it is? It starts with information item 1, yeah.
Let
Yes.
me grab it.
So you can throw that over to me. Thank you, commissioners. So tonight we have with us Mr. John Turner, and he's replacing Heidel Summers. And so I don't know much about Mr. Turner, so if you don't mind, welcome aboard, first of all. If you don't mind just giving us just a little bit of a background information on you, where you've been and what you do. And
Husband, father of 3 kids, moved to Middleton about 8 years ago from the dreaded California. I grew up in a very small farm town out there.
Which town?
Escalon.
Oh, yeah.
So when I came up here for work, checked out a bunch of different cities, and drove to Middleton, and it felt like home. So that's why I moved here. Love it. Don't want it to change. Met Jackie, had a couple conversations with her, and I believe from those conversations is why she nominated me to be here. So
Great.
happy to be here.
All right.
Perfect. Move on to action items.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Yes. Nice to have you here.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to action items. With that, with Mr. Turner's appointment, Commissioner Turner's appointment, we replacing Heidel Summers, who is the chairperson of Planning and Zoning. So with that, we did carry this over from the October 21st meeting. So what we'll go through is we'll go through election of a new chairperson.
The process would simply be somebody makes a motion and there's a vote.
I'd like to nominate somebody for position of chairperson.
And vice chair is going to handle this at this point.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Sparrow.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Watkins for chairperson of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I second that.
A second. And we do a roll call.
Do a roll call vote, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Trumbull.
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Waltmate.
Yes.
Commissioner Gregory.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Hey, that's
Voted
great.
unanimously.
Unanimous.
Yay.
Wonderful.
We don't have to change seats.
Congratulations, that's
Well,
nice.
thank you. Well, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. It's been my pleasure to serve on this commission and looking forward to carrying it through. I'm very happy. We think we've got a good thing going with everybody, so appreciate your trust and we'll move forward. And then with that, do we need to do for vice chair?
We do.
Yep.
do. Oh. You know what, I should have Ting-a-ling.
It's all right. We can.
It's okay, let's do it anyway, it's
We can do
necessary.
it, and then I can take a notation, and then.
I think,
Yeah, let's just do it and it's done.
Yep.
and honestly, that's how it happened last time.
It did, it was
Yeah.
organic, wasn't it? Because you're always thinking about the
Yeah,
chair,
it was
you
kind
know.
of,
A little organic, yes. So take a motion.
yeah, so with that, we'll ask for a motion for a vice chairman. Vice chairman, obviously, just kind of how I've done the last couple meetings, fills in if the chairperson's gone and runs the meetings and everything. So with that, we'll take a motion for a new vice chair.
I'd like to make a nomination.
Commissioner Sparrow?
I would like to nominate Commissioner Waltemate for vice chair.
I'll second that. And I guess we'll do
And
it.
we'll do a roll call.
Yep, do a roll call.
Commissioner Trimble,
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltemate,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregory,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
vote unanimously.
Good.
Perfect.
Very nice.
That was easy.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
About as soon as you
Excellent.
can
I
get.
thought you guys were in fine form tonight. That's good.
Gotcha. All right, we'll move on with that. We'll move on to consent agenda. Basic items, routine administrative business. Consent agenda item A, consider approving minutes for the October 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Item B, consider approving minutes for City Council and Planning and Zoning November 13th, 2024 special meeting. And then consider approving the findings, conclusions, recommendations for the Nancy Edwards rezone of 0 North Dewey Avenue.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C.
I'll second.
Was that Gregory?
Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. And with that, we'll go on to action item 3. We consider approving the regular schedule for planning and zoning meetings for the year of 2025. Madam Planner?
Yep, every year, per the open meeting law, we need to give out a schedule for the entire year. Otherwise, our agendas get very tricky. So just want to make sure that we get this approved, and then we take it on to City Council next week or this Wednesday for approval. Everything is on the second Monday, except for Veterans Day in October punches it to the third Monday.
Hey, that's cleaner than this year. We had a couple this year, so that's,
Yeah, that's a little bit better. So we just need a motion to either approve it or not approve it.
I'll make a motion.
Was that Gregory?
Yes.
Thank you.
To approve the regular scheduled meeting for planning and zoning for the year 2025.
Second.
okay. Motion's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, then moving on to action item 4. We have a report by Ms. Stewart for the planner and the status of ITD's Pell study for the alternate Highway 44 route together with the commission, and discuss input on the matter.
No, maybe. Okay, let's see. So what I'm just going to dive right in, and on the table right now with ITD are only 4 alternatives in the Pell study, and the Pell study is being conducted by Dave Evans and Associates, DEA. And then they will serve up a recommendation to ITD, who then, and also to the National Highway Transportation Safety Agency. So, but right now, the 4 alternatives I'm going to walk through are only 4 alternatives on the table. I'm going to take them from east, like Kingsbury, and we're going to just head west, and we'll just walk through each one of them because they're very interesting. So this is alternate 1, and alternate 1 is basically just widen Highway 44 exactly where it is right now. But there are some interesting things. So the ITD or the Pell study wants to put a light at Kingsbury. We already knew that. I'm going to move over here. Light at Lansing. We already knew that. Light at Duff, which is becoming more and more viable, by the way. A couple of developers see this Richard Phillips. Here owns the Republic Storage, and then a new developer on the south side of 44 are really working with ITD to build Duff Lane's light, and ITD is promising to help. HD4 said they wouldn't help, but ITD said they're going to help, and so and we'll help too. So Duff is becoming more and more tangible, to where it could start to really come to fruition, maybe even by next spring. It's that close. They just have to keep negotiating a little bit, and we're out of it.
2025 next.
2025 spring could really start in earnest, or it could all die. Honestly, it could just go up in smoke. But right now, it's looking good, and I talked with ITD, and they're like, yeah, let's move forward. They're liking what they're seeing. Okay, so light it.
Be happy.
Yeah, light it, Duff. And just so you guys know, this roadway, you've already seen this roadway that they're going to expand. It's Chinden, the new part of Chinden. 2 lanes on each side and a center turn lane. So 5 solid lanes. It's 150 foot wide. It's big. Lots of space, pathways on both sides. Lots of room. Okay.
And just to clarify, that's already done regardless of the bypass coming through Duff, correct?
Yeah, actually the legs, the legs all the way to Star are gonna be the same no matter what.
Yeah.
And the leg all the way to I-84 no matter what. But you'll be excited to see some of the things they're gonna do over here. So then let me get in here. So then we start coming into town, and we straighten out Middleton Road. Do you see my mouse moving there? Maybe a little bit.
I did. Yeah.
Middleton Road, and light there. And then they're saying a little light at the Ridley's light that's currently there. I thought they'd remove that, but they're saying keep it. They usually like at least a half mile or a mile between lights. A light at Hawthorne. Won't that be nice? Right there where the Jackson Shell is. And then a light at the Cemetery Road, which, by the way, is going in right now as we speak. And a light, of course, let me get up here a little bit more. A light here at Hartley that's in, and a light here at Emmett, and then let's just go all the way out to I-84. It's just smooth sailing here, that same 5 lane. A light at River, and that's something happening in the county that, oh boy, so that's not a lot that I know about. But they are already showing a light at Highway 30, Old Highway 30.
That's the most needed light.
The most needed, oh, there's
Why
just
the hell they
That
put one
one's
up at the
horrible.
I was like, this is the dingiest
Yeah.
place.
Yep, so then would they take the one right up
yes, they'll
They take that
dismantle
one?
the one they built last year.
and drag it 100 yards and put it over there?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's where it should have gone in the first place.
yes.
I've heard they're gonna redo the interchange though too, and kind of incorporate all those lights and all that stuff in Highway 30.
Yeah,
and-
so it probably was gonna be ripped up anyway, and the one that they put there last year is interim, just to help. So, although I think an interim at Highway 30 would have helped more,
Right?
but what do I know?
I do like the light at River. Every
Yeah.
time I go to work
Yeah.
in the morning, there's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I'm gonna pass at least one rear end that happened at River, because
Where
that's
is
where the
that?
hill goes up.
It's so River is, what is around, I'm trying to look at it in my
So that's
mind's eye.
right where the bottom of the hill comes, right? So you go
Yes,
downhill or up
just
the hill?
before you go up the hill.
Oh, and there's freeze out right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a death trap. I mean, when somebody stops to turn left or right, I get in the shoulder. Because I know somebody's texting behind me
I got
going
hit
50
there.
miles an hour.
In my wife's little bitty Toyota Yaris by a 1-ton diesel.
Oh,
And
my.
you're alive.
I was at a dead stop and there was a car in front of me. Luckily, you just get,
That
as a
feeling.
cop, I parked, right? I kept my distance. I turned my wheel all the way to the left just to wait for traffic to go. And I looked in the rear view and he was looking over at his
Yep.
son's tech phone. They didn't stop. My 5-year-old was in the back seat.
Oh my.
He hit me so hard, my driver's seat turned sideways. I still hit the steering wheel. It busted both eyes open
Oh my
in my
gosh.
eyebrows.
I am surprised that doesn't happen every day.
You still have a second.
Honestly.
Yeah, luckily for him.
Yeah.
Shit.
And the baby
When I
in the
got out of
back
the
was
car,
okay.
yeah.
5-year-old. Oh
When
boy.
I got out of the car, my priority was making sure my kid was okay in the back seat, or he wasn't
Sure.
going to make it across the street to see how I was.
That's my biggest nightmare, what you just described. I see it happening. I just can imagine.
Yep.
Oh, that's horrible. All right, so that's the easy one. let's move on. These
That's
are big.
option number one.
That's what
Yes.
they're calling that alternate number one. And I'll give you more of a report on all, once I show you all four, I'm going to tell you what the Pell study is tentatively finding right now. That was in our last meeting about 3 weeks ago. Okay, so this is alternate number two. This is the first of two versions of the southern bypass. So let me pull in here close, and I don't need to do, so everything's the same, Kingsbury, Lansing Lane, Duck Lane, they're all the same. So we'll just pull in to takes a while. These are like 54 megabytes. I'll get closer. Okay, so what they did, let me see, they kind of dropped in the river walk concept that we did. So what happens here is this. Let me pull up here, it's coming in.
That big lake over there.
Can you see that very well? So,
Can you make it one more thing bigger?
one more bigger,
Yeah.
so we'll just travel through it a little bit.
There we go.
I'm gonna pull in a little
There
bit.
we go, that's way better.
Okay, I'm gonna go up a little bit
Maybe
more.
it's still.
Oh, dang, I'm
Too
sorry,
close.
guys. Did not mean that to happen. Okay.
That's okay.
That's not in that picture.
Okay, so if you look at my, is it better to move my mouse like this, or is it better for me to do this green thing?
The laser pointer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the laser pointers.
So, it starts, so this is the Riverwalk subdivision. This is 32 acres of commercial. There's a hotel, LOI down here possibly, or so they say, but 32 acres. So it's gonna split off like this, right here, and it's gonna take out quite a bit of our pathway that's being actually built right now practically, and come down here to Crane Creek Plaza. What you're gonna notice here is that this will be a right in, right out only. So you can, say you're coming westbound, you can go whoop, right there. Or if you're coming up here and you're coming eastbound, you can make a right turn. You cannot make a left turn. Right in, right out only. So it comes down here, and then this is our Crane Creek Plaza. It's 20 acres. It is planned to be like Indian Creek Plaza or the Meridian Village. It would have like a ice rink, gathering places, gas pits. You can hang around, small retail, lots and lots of restaurants. I want a bookstore. So let me keep passing around on this one. So that's, and this is 150 foot wide with sound walls. So it'll protect Sawtooth people who live right along here. But because these are sound walls that it'll take in there, they have to do some kind of overpass. And I'll show you another one to show you where those overpasses are. Pedestrian overpass to get down to our Riverwalk loop. And I think there's a pedestrian here and there's a pedestrian on the other side. But I'll show that on another slide. So let's just keep moving on this one. Are you keeping up with me?
Yep.
Okay, so it just keeps going past. It goes through. There'll be a light at South Cemetery Road. And then it just comes over and it goes all the way over to almost Channel or Canyon, where that greenhouse is. It looks like an old farm, an old institutional building or school or something. So there, and then here, you'll see this little thing right here. This also is gonna have a light, so I guess it is a full access. You can turn right or left on this. From Hartley, here's the RV park that's being built right now. From Hartley to here is about 1.5 miles. So it's about a mile that you'll have to go from this one light here to get here to be able to backtrack. So you have to go out about 1 mile and then you can backtrack in. I'm going to pull back a little bit so you can see it better with it pulled back. The whole thing is a unit. Maybe a little too much, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you'll see there's a light here. So this light to that light is over 1 mile. Or right on about 1 mile, probably. About 1.5 miles to there. Now this is the old river, the Riverwalk concept that we have going right now has 6 miles of trails that these are being built right now because of River Point and Riverwalk subdivisions. And you're able to follow the Kennedy Drain with big paved 8-foot wide trails that comes all the way around, drops down in here so you can get some ice cream and read a book, go to the bookstore. Then you drop down here and you go into our 93-acre natural park and pool. But there's greenbelt trails that I'm making them do 12 feet wide, paved, all the way along here, 12 feet wide, all along the southern part of this subdivision. And then we made them do a trail that loops up here. So it literally just goes like this. So when they do this southern bypass like that, that's going to do quite a bit of damage to this parcel here. So the plaza has to change. Plus there'll be big sound walls there. Plus there'll need to be some kind of pedestrian connectivity from the north part of Middleton to what will effectively be the south part of Middleton. And I've been making all the subdivisions, and our comp plan makes every subdivision do these pathways along all these drains. Even up here, all these are big pathways. We make them build and dedicate them to us, and they're public. Well, all of those come down here, and then they'll need to get across this, 150 wide sound wall to get to this whole access part down here. So there's good and there's bad on everything. That's bad. But there's some good things that come along with the southern bypass. It's cheaper, first of all, for ITD. It's probably faster. And they're dealing with some big land parcels, so it's easier for them to acquire it. So I'll tell you the end of the story. This is the one so far that's at the top list of what they want. Well, I'll get to that later. So that's alternate number 2, except for I'm going to pull in here and show you something that might be interesting to you. Alternate number 2 and alternate number 3 is very similar. I wanted to focus in on what will happen because of the roundabout and that whole area. So let me pull in way in here. So they got a problem. We already built this roundabout. So I'm going to pull it in. Can you see that, or should I pull it in a little bit more? Okay. Okay. So we've already built this roundabout. And what will happen is they're going to put a light here and get this leg up here to North Middleton. It'll be lengthened up here to Old Highway 44. But they got all these roads. So they'll do a cul-de-sac here. This is Kingsway. This is the Casa Mexico. And, everybody know where this is, Casa Mexico and all that. Mm-hmm. So they have to do some kind of cul-de-sac there. They will have to do a cul-de-sac here. And then they have to do some kind of loop. This guy, his name is Lee, owns this commercial property, but they're going to have to take some kind of loop through there. So you come off of Highway 44 and Ridley's up here. You come down and it's just all kind of dead ends, dead end here. They might do a cul-de-sac here or whatever, but I actually made this one to show you that you have to have a cul-de-sac. You have to terminate somehow. So that's kind of the mess. I call it a mess. They would say it's our mess because we did this roundabout. Now they have to deal with it.
Question. What's the point of the loop off of Crane Creek? Why don't they just close it right
You gotta
there
have a place to turn around.
and then put another one of those roundabouts at the bottom?
They could, so this would be the only access to our plaza. So I think they were just trying to show different ways to get to our plaza. But you're right, they could have done they could do a big cul-de-sac.
Put a cul-de-sac at the bottom and make that parking for our Crane Creek Plaza.
You could do that. These are very conceptual too. They're just
Okay.
saying they got issues.
All right.
You got to get to us. This poor guy, he's gonna lose. That cows are out there right now, but it's zoned commercial, so something's gonna happen with him. But so you're gonna have a dead in there, dead in there, dead in there, and dead in here, and then they got to get people across pedestrian wise. So just want you to see that's the best. I saw worse than this. I picked the best that they are thinking about doing with this, but they say they haven't figured it out yet. But just so you know, that's what's going to happen. Something like that.
So where does that affect? Where does that go in relation to the sewer plant?
What do you mean in relation to the sewer
Sewer
plant?
plant's over here.
Yeah, that's,
Is
it's
it
not,
gonna go
there's not
anywhere
even,
nearby, or?
no, there's not any connection. Let me pull out,
Yeah,
look.
It will cross through the fields,
Yeah.
correct, and split the fields.
So they're noting this is the right in, right out intersection, so you gotta go, you could, yeah. And then here's bike pedestrian, maybe right here's one of them, bike pedestrian down here. So they're trying to find places for us to get over these sound walls.
Maybe sound walls on both sides?
What's on both sides?
So are they gonna put sound walls on both sides?
I don't know. For sure, they're gonna go on this side, but these are all residential right there too. And one of the other things that they are thinking about right here is instead of a light, is a grade separated interchange. So this leg would go way up and over. But that raises the noise level, that puts traffic up in the air above Sawtooth Lakes. You can look out the traffic anytime you want, but it'll also increase a lot of noise too, because it just lifts way up.
Roberta, would they go under?
It's hard to go under because we have such high groundwater. I mean, we're talking major engineering.
That would be an issue.
Yeah, they would go above. But a little town with a grade separated interchange right there, right next to a residential neighborhood in our downtown, is kind of tough.
They said this was the cheapest option?
This is the best option. I gotta tell you the truth. They showed 3 or 4. I tried to find them today, and Jason didn't have them either. 3 or 4 ways to handle this hot mess here, and some of them were like a rat's maze. It was so frightening. I couldn't even make heads or tails of it. I could kind of understand this one, and so this one, they also indicated this was their best, and they'll improve upon it too.
They will.
So this, is it okay to make comments? Or
Sure.
Do you want to wait? So this is effectively dividing our city into 2 sections.
Yep.
And it really, I mean, poor Sawtooth, they're just getting isolated.
Yeah.
Its impact on Crane Creek is going to be undeniable. Its impact on the Riverwalk is going to be undeniable. And if those are 2 things that we're really focusing as cornerstones for the development, the proper development of Middleton, this is not going to help us there. And is ITD's main focus, as I've heard them say before, is just to move traffic? And are they going to listen to us when we say whether it's this or whatever the options are they going to listen to us regarding the impact to our city?
So that's what this whole Pell study is about, is gathering those comments. And right, ITD will look you in the face and say, we only are concerned with regional traffic, and Commissioner Gregory can attest to that, and that's their job. And nobody's blaming them for that. But they're like, your school problem, not our problem. And that it kind of breaks your city in half, not our problem. They don't want to do that. They're not heartless, bullies. But it's not. They need to speed up traffic, and so this is the best way for them.
So,
It's not the best thing for us, maybe.
On this option,
Right.
right, yeah.
But this is their best option, right?
This
Of
is
the 4.
what the Pell study number is saying is the best option. It's the cheapest,
Right.
and this is very likely the one that is going to come to the top and be recommended. Very likely. They pretty much said that 2 weeks ago.
And so should the city of Middleton decide that this is not the best option for the city in general, what recourse do we have?
Well, why don't, this has gotten to be a very interesting story. Let me hold that off to the end, because I have a whole section on what happened at our workshop. That was a big deal, a super big deal. And that's going to affect how this pans out. But I want you guys to see the other alternatives real quick, and then we'll move right into that. Okay, Dan?
and real quick, just and part of the reason we're discussing this tonight is I actually called Ms. Stewart, Madam Planner, and asked to be able to discuss this as a commission. Obviously, we can't make recommendations, we can't do this, but I feel it's important to have on record our discussion as a planning and zoning commission, so we have our input. We can't per se provide that input or make a recommendation on it, but I feel it's important to have it on record as a discussion. because
Actually,
there's a
you
lot.
can, but you can't do a comment letter to ITD like the city council did, but you can certainly do a comment letter or have me send a message to city council.
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
ask. Can we do a letter to city council?
Yeah, that's what I'm at. Thank you for correcting me. That's what I'm at. Well, originally I wanted to do a letter to ITD, but that's not our position.
That's not
Yeah.
our position.
But I feel it is important to discuss it, just as Commissioner Gregory, with your input on that, and to kind of go through on that, like, and I'll hurry up so I can
No, you're
get you
fine.
back in here, but, just like you said, the future of our city. I'm worried about the future. I'm also worried about what's already here. If you look at Casa Mexico, Middleton Espresso, those businesses that have been here, have been good established businesses and done good stuff for the city and have paid taxes and, they've fed us, they've taken care of us. That's gonna annihilate
It'll bury their business.
them. Yeah.
And it's going right through Pioneer Federal.
Yep.
Financial
Oh,
institution
the
in
bank
town.
is gone.
Yeah.
Claire, Pioneer, it's
Pioneer
gone.
Federal.
Yeah.
Totally, right in the
I
pathway.
sent the maps to the CEO because I'm on the board for them, and he's like, "Well, just stand by and watch." I'm like, "No, you
Oh,
realize
no,
they
you're
want to tear
gone,
down the
but-
bank." Somebody already tried to do it with a car,
Yeah.
but they repaired it.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Wrong side of the drive-through, but.
Right.
Yeah, and it buries the Casa Mexico so far down, you really have to fight to get down there. And I just envision with all those cul-de-sacs, some little couple, me and my husband were 80 years old, we're like, okay, can we go? No, can't we go back? Okay, can we go down this way? No, it's just
They're gonna get
cul-de-sac
lost.
after cul-de-sac after cul-de-sac. It'd be terrible. But anyway, not that I'm making my opinion known. Okay, so, let me see, that was,
Was that
oh.
number 3 right there?
So here's alternate 3. It's the same as the number 2 that we just saw, but the western leg pops up a little earlier. So let me hone in here a little bit more. So the western leg is going to pop up, and it's going to go through Viking Storage. It's going to move the light that we're putting in right now. Needs to be moved there. Because they're trying to keep traffic moving to save minutes, actually. You'll get to Eagle 3 minutes faster.
Is this option number 3?
Yes.
This is option number 3. So you can't have any hard turns. You can't. They don't want to stop. So they just will everything becomes more gentle, arcing. And so Cemetery Road light will change. So that's the only difference there. It'll still have the same hot mess over here with all those cul-de-sacs. Okay, so then the plot thickens at alternate 4. And you all were here. Alternate 4. This is called the couplet. Let me bring this in a little bit more. Okay, everything's the same from Lansing, Duff, it's all the same. Then what happens is, can you see that? Maybe a little bit. Let me see if I can get a little touch bigger. Okay, I'm gonna move this over a little bit. Okay, so what happens is, I'm gonna use this. So what happens is, so here's these guys with the 32 acres right there. This is Boise Street, right here. So it becomes you split right here. You guys know where this is? I can't even explain it. Marjorie Avenue's right there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. It starts one way through town, which means 2 lanes and a suicide in the middle. So we have the right-of-way for that already, more than enough right-of-way. So, and it goes one way eastbound, and then on this side it splits and it's westbound that way. And then it splits here at Cemetery, and it goes one way eastbound, and it's on Boise Street, which is already built, may not have sufficient right-of-way, and this part of Boise is definitely not built, and I think maybe even that part's not built. So you'd have to build this part, and then it intersects there. So what it does, it saves this developer's commercial. It saves the big Riverwalk Kennedy Drain loop that begins that 6-mile loop around and around. Leaves our Crane Creek Plaza alone. And there's a couple other bonuses. So they don't like to build local roads, right, Janet? They only want to build state
Yeah.
roads.
They do.
But when you do a couplet, you have to have connections, and it's part of the transportation facility. So first and foremost, they would build, here's South Viking Lane, part of that's already built between the church over there by middle school. They would finish building the Viking Lane, and they would come down here to a light. I talked to Mark Gee 2 or 3 weeks ago because he was here for this Pell, and they're also putting a career building, a new building, so you guys will see that in design review. And I told him, hey, we need to get a road in here, and you need to put your building in the right place. And he said, we've already thought about that. And he said, and by the way, Miss Stewart, we're already looking at where to place our sidewalks and our bus drop-offs because we have every intention of getting the school drop-off down here on Viking Lane. Now the city can build this anytime we want when we have the money. We could do it tomorrow. We could start tomorrow, right? ITD has to build it if the couplet comes in at their cost. It's part of the couplet. And there's a light there, so mom and dad can come up here and they can turn left. There's only one way, so that's a quick boop. You know, you're not fighting to cross traffic. Or they can come down to the light and go either, and then they can go east, actually, if it's a one-way. They would also build Hawthorne. They would also have to build Paradise. They'd have to rebuild Old Middleton, and they would straighten this last little bit of Middleton Road here. This developer is going to do this part of Middleton. That's because it's adjacent to their subdivision. So all that would get built. What else?
Would they, looks like move South Cemetery Road to that new section there? Because you're not gonna split off of there and go south.
No, oh no, South Cemetery stays the same.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, because it's going to go all the way
That's the
through.
road that's already there.
These
Yeah,
guys
but they
can go
wouldn't-
home. You can connect up here and flip up to Duff through these two subdivisions out here. Yeah, and so the goal would be, if they would do this, city, with your help, would rezone all of this to flip it to a kind of a business center, basically. All the old goes away, but also because of the new flum that we looked at, it could also do high density. So you'd have some townhomes, apartments, some business, walking. Everybody's walking. They're coming down here for ice cream, and they hang out. And they're, you know, all the paths are coming down. So rezoning would occur there, and then that would all be changed over time. It would take some time, but it would change. So as you guys know, city, just 2 months ago, city council, through the public comment process of the Pell study, had Jason and me, council did a motion to have Jason and me write a letter in the Pell study 2 months ago. And the 4 men said, we want this couplet in that. But they go into a big pool of just everybody's comments, you know, right? But their comments do have more weight because it is city, even though they say it doesn't. But anyway, then, was it last Wednesday night we were here for the workshop? Yeah. Rob says that, why don't we just get that couplet put onto our comp plan, since we're working over our comp plan maps right now. And they did the motion, you saw it, and now that is going on to our comp plan. So there are people that say, and I don't know the real answer here, I'm just going to tell you what I guess and think and speculate. There are people that say, city, it doesn't change anything, and some people will even say, city's comment of what they want is no more important than Joe Blow who lives in Sawtooth, their comment, right? I don't think that's true. I think that when this is concretely on a comp plan map, plus a letter saying in the comment period, we want this, when ITD takes this up to the National Highway Safety Transportation Agency, they're going to really care what the city thinks. I don't know if ITD cares that much. I don't know how much they care. I'm sure they care. They're nice people. But I think the Highway Transportation Safety is going to care a lot.
Well, they're the ones that write the checks too.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if we get in a situation where ITD is, you know, more focused on number 3 than they are listening to us, that's where something like, you know, KBOI or, you know, any of the local stations come in and highlight the dispute between the citizens of Middleton, the small little town of Middleton, fighting the big giant ITD that is trying to destroy their town, or
Yeah.
whatever narrative we want to, you know, push.
Yeah.
And that would get their attention for sure.
One of the things to remember, if you look back in the history of your lives, have you ever seen a bypass go in? Think of Council up north. I don't know if you guys lived here when that went in. Has a bypass ever helped a city, especially a small city, ever?
Well,
It helps regional traffic.
and I'll expand on that with you, Mister, because like I said, I'm born and raised here, and the big thing they tried to say was, look at the Eagle bypass. Option A and option B is not the Eagle bypass. It's not. It kills access to downtown Middleton far more than the Eagle bypass did.
Yeah,
And it took Eagle 5 years to recover from that.
It took
bypass.
Eagle.
Even with full access.
With full access.
It took Eagle much more than 5 years to recover.
yeah.
It
I think it's
killed-
more like 10. I was here.
It was almost 15 years.
Yeah.
It was almost 15 years before businesses started coming back to downtown Eagle. Now it's doing well. It's doing well, but it took, not only did it take 15 years, the businesses that were there, I think there's only 3 businesses that were in downtown Eagle before the bypass are actually still there. All the businesses that are in Eagle now are new businesses. I want to avoid that. I think that's important to say. Eagle, and it goes back to ITD speaks in very. Most of you know me long enough, have been on this commission long enough, and even before this commission, I don't sparse my feelings about ITD. ITD, they have some very nice people, and they're good at what they do. ITD, I think, also are very poor planners. ITD plans for 2 years in the future instead of 15 years in the future like they should be. And this right now, their concern is moving traffic because they're already behind the 8 ball. They've waited too long, so they're behind the 8 ball.
It seems like they operate in a vacuum. I see a lot of that seems to happen around without forethought of what's going to happen, like you said, down the road. Anything other than this totally limits our ability to grow in a proper way.
What are the options of not having the one-ways, but building those roads anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
What are the options of putting those roadways in without doing the one-ways?
A couple that only works as a one-way, so I can't speak to that. That's just engineering. That's way
Are you
above.
talking about the north-south routes or east-west routes?
All, no one-ways.
All of it.
So if you put
No
those roadways
one-ways.
in without doing one-way directionals, and the problem with one-way directionals, okay, is we are not necessarily moving any traffic. We're still have all the same traffic, now he just goes in a big circle. The other problem you have is all your emergency response time is now increased 5 minutes, at minimum.
How's that?
Look at the police station, and now they're responding to Ridley's.
Well, they've
Look
had
at
the
the
same
fire
problems
department,
with
And now
2
they're
and
responding to
3.
Ridley's. There's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they don't already know some good alternate routes or some
Yeah.
faster ways to get somewhere, but now they have to struggle with the one-ways in order, and I gotta go up 4 blocks now and turn right to get up left to turn left so I can go back down across the one-way to get to a connector road to get back down so I can turn left and go to Ridley's.
On alternate 2, there's a point where they have to go a mile and backtrack.
Right, I'm just saying,
Alternate
right?
2,
So
southern bypass.
this directional, like these roadways, make a huge difference. But the one-ways
Yeah.
are what is gonna impact our ability for emergency response. You're talking about little old ladies getting stuck in a cul-de-sac. Wait till
Yeah.
they get stuck on a one-way and they can't figure out which one they gotta
Yeah.
turn on. And now they're just driving a big loop around the city.
Well, they have not talked about 2-way loops like this at all. This is their design, not ITD's. It's actually their consultant's design.
I'm not
This-
a fan of the couplet for that reason. One, the too many one-way directionals does not deviate traffic. It just puts more traffic going in one way. So now
Well,
you're still
so-
coming from Star, and you're still going one way, which is where all the traffic comes from in the morning.
The biggest problem really is the school has been a problem for 20 years. I've heard people say that have lived here for 30 years, and there was a traffic problem because of that school 30 years ago.
Right.
So you can put in 16 bypasses,
Right.
southern bypasses, and we still have the problem.
Right.
So-
Well, I think some of the delay that we've talked about over and over again is not just and I'm not trying to blame the city individually, but the communication between ITD and the city for several years now has been delayed. A decision should have been made years ago whether or not we were going to do a bypass or not do a bypass. Instead of removing it from the map and then maybe we'll bring it back some other time and we'll talk about it a decision needed to be made and it just hasn't been yet. That's the biggest delay.
A decision needed to be made in what regard? What
With
decision?
ITD, we're either doing a bypass or we're not doing a bypass. Right?
The decision had been made up to
And then
that
we
point.
pulled it, and then we wanted to put it back.
No, we never wanted to put it back.
Then why are we talking about it? It came off the comprehensive plan, right?
No, I think you're talking about in the past. In the past, no, it was taken off in 2021.
'Cause we didn't want it.
Until last Wednesday night.
Because we didn't want a bypass, right?
Exactly.
So, but then that discussion was still there. Why hasn't business come to Middleton? Because that discussion was still there.
Yeah, and it's
Eagle
gotten
Star, all of those,
So-
a decision was made and business came. That's just how it works, right? The reason we don't have business booming in Middleton right now is several reasons, but the two biggest ones are the too much for property value is way too high. Ag land should be $2,000 to $7,000 an acre, not $2,000 to $7,000 a square foot,
Hey,
which is
guys,
where it's at.
If you don't mind, let me address something. Because I was here when it was taken off in 2021, and because it was taken off, all of the 20 years of waiting, are they going to do a bypass or not, went away. Suddenly, we were able to bring in so much more development, and we began to start planning our park in earnest because the bypass did go away.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we made the decision as a city, we're not waiting another 20 years ITD. And this gets even worse.
We didn't wait
Because
20 years for
we
ITD.
did.
This is an argument
It
that we're having
started in
because we're at
1999.
20-some thousand people now, and this decision was
1999.
made back when we only had 4,000 to 5,000 people.
So ITD has announced that they don't have the money that they thought they would have for a bypass. And they're not even sure they're gonna get to finish Chinden, which was supposed to be finished in the next few months, but they don't even have the money for that. So even if we say we go with them and we're like, yeah, let's do alternate 2, we love it, we give a letter of support, it could be another 10 or 20 years before that's done. So it'll be 40 years total.
Right, we know it's going to take time, right? For any of
40
these
years.
decisions.
It always does.
And what's this going to take? No more, any different, they're still going to have to shut roads off to build cemetery on that side and build that connector road. We're still looking at a timeline. Regardless if we choose option 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's still going to take time. It's not going to prove tomorrow it's done.
Everything takes time.
Yep.
Right.
What takes more time, though, is the question. And what's better for the city is the real question.
I'll agree with you, other than the fact that this one-ways, this couplet design is better for the city. The one-ways are where we're going to get hung up.
It's not perfect. I see your point. I
Right?
really do.
So
I see
we're
your
going to
point.
distract from business because we have to force people to go one way all the way around town. So if I want to go to town, go to a business down there at that coffee shop, I have to go all the way up to come back around, or I have to go that way across town to take the couplet, or to take the whatever that's called, and come all the way back down around to get there.
That's
So
if you're taking the connector the whole way. There are north-south routes in between that you
right,
can
but to get to a north-south route, I have to get to one of those connector roads. I still have to go to it one way.
I think, Sparrow, were you going to speak first and then Janet?
I'll wait.
Okay. Janet?
Well, Ray, just to disagree a little bit, if you're looking at what we currently have for 44, it's both directions. If that was just one way, we've just increased our capacity by 50%, 100% actually.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, but we have more room now for the same number of cars. We've got twice as many lanes going west.
I agree.
So wasn't that your argument, that it didn't change the?
So it
amount?
doesn't change, right? So you're gonna have 2 lanes now instead of 1.
Right, and
Right.
therefore that diminishes the impact of the concentration of cars by 100%.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I wish this was heaven and there was a perfect solution. This isn't heaven. So we have, the city needs to do the best that they can do with the circumstances, just like ITD is trying to. So,
I agree. So I was just trying to make a comment. It's the one-ways that I don't like.
we got it.
Yeah.
The routes are great, but the one ways.
So-
Because for me to go to Ridley's, I gotta come all the way down and then come back.
So-
I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I agree with that, so to expand on that, to go and especially emergency response. I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%. My concern though on going on emergency response is if we look, and again, it goes back, now we're nitpicking now, but if you go back to option 2 or 3, where you have reduced access, especially on the east end, you don't have full access on that end. So say we had.
You want me to go back to that one?
We can see it from there.
Oh,
Because
okay.
similar, say like Riverwalk.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
say Riverwalk, you're in there.
Right.
You're going down now, you either have to cut down Middleton Road, or say you had somebody coming back over there, and now you're now you're set to where it's like you're coming down, like, so say you're limited on your access here, and you've only got a right in, right out. I know we're looking at a different map, but.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
Right
we
out
got
there.
you.
So you've either gotta come down and then you gotta catch this, but then if you got a light, and you hit this light, and granted, they've got their switchers and everything. So I agree 100% with Commissioner Waltmate on a one way, and it can be tough.
Yeah.
It can be tough, but I think we're getting bit by the same snake on the other side. And like I said, and the thing that catches my eye, and this is where I get frustrated with ITD, is I've been to every meeting. And I asked them, I said, I understand their need to move regional traffic. That's their mission. Middleton is different than Star and Eagle in the fact that we are a bookend. There's nothing past us except for 84.
Yeah.
There's nothing past us except for 84.
Right.
So they're concerned about Star and Eagle with access on that. They really don't care about Middleton. They want to shoot around us as fast as possible. Problem being with that is it kills our access. And I think, this is again just my opinion, a southern bypass going through at 45, 55 miles an hour, it's not going to help traffic in town. It's going to make it worse. We have our school traffic. Now, granted, you got a lot of traffic coming that is going around town. Most traffic coming from 84 are from here. They're not going around Middleton to get to 84. They're coming home to Middleton.
There's not a lot of background traffic is what the study showed.
Exactly.
We'll still have the
So
same
you got
situation.
you got the school traffic, you got that. Now instead of having a flow, now you're bookended on both ends of town. And you got lights on both ends of town, and you got lights coming through through town.
Yeah.
Less than a mile. My fear is it going to help their regional traffic? Sure it will.
Couple minutes.
It's going to save you and
3
hey, in 30 years, it might be 5 minutes. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, we might gain something. It's going to hammer downtown traffic in Middleton, even worse than it is now. Because now you're trying to escape out and scoot out on both ends. Now, can you shoot down Cemetery? Sure you can. But that traffic come through town to get your kids to the middle school, to go to Burger Den, to go.
So of all the options, my consensus is this is still the best option, except for the one ways.
Yeah, and that's something to look at. So speaking of that, there is another option here. No matter, go ahead. You haven't had a chance to talk, Al.
Number 4, the couplet is my preferred for the following reasons. I think it would be a big benefit to Middleton to get more commercial development and expand Middleton's downtown area. And it would provide one heck of a pipeline into the new Crane Creek Plaza. Right, so now Middleton goes from 500 yards wide. We have tons of businesses, ice cream shops, t-shirt shops, as you like to say, all over the place, all within walking distance, or all on our bicycles. To address Ray's and a lot of other concerns, emergency vehicles, whether it's IDT or it's Middleton, I think we should connect Dewey across the couplet. And Dewey would then go all the way up and could take you into northern part of Middleton pretty quickly. Right? Where's the fire department? Right in the corner of Dewey and State Street now. Where's the police station? The police station, I'm sure they'd be glad to move to somewhere more central anyway. But it'd be much harder to move the fire department. And they can go left, and be right where they need to be.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't pick Dewey, other than it's maybe too
To me,
close.
to me, it's one of the most natural things, right? It's Hawthorne, Paradise, Dewey, Old Middleton,
Yeah.
right? Every 100, 150 feet, you can turn off the couplet and be right where you need to be.
Maybe they're not so smart after all. I don't know.
Well, I've brought this up a couple times with them, but
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, and speaking back on that, like I said, if there was a chance, and like I said, I agree with Commissioner Waltmate, if there was a way we could do it where you could have two-way traffic on both and do improvement, well, no brainer.
Right.
Because
That
then
would be
you get the, and you
Yes.
still do Dewey.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Oh, totally,
exactly, you could add to it.
And then it gives you the option, and the other thing I like about like I said, going on this, and I'll make it quick, because we got a lot of people, and I don't want to take up too much time, but as you go through the options, you look at all the options, there's positives and negatives to each. But if you look at a map, and you look at what's torn up, what's still gonna give access to what's here, still provide future development, responsible future development, that helps increase our tax base with commercial, it's gonna be business is gonna be way more attractive. And then it also, the people in Sawtooth Lakes, the people that have been here and been established living, now they're not looking out their backyard at a 15-foot sound wall, which is beautiful. I see them all the time, they always look fantastic.
Once the graffiti's on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that, I like to call it urban art.
Yes.
But you get that, and ITD wants a 55-mile-an-hour bypass. That kills. I don't care how many overpass you do, how many of that. It kills our pedestrian access. I don't care how big of a sound wall. When I was younger and I went to college, I lived next to a sound wall in Boise. They don't work. But I don't care. I don't care who. Do they maybe a little bit? But I back right up to 84. I got real good at sleeping through traffic. At night and coming through. I know people that live in Sawtooth. I know people that live down the way. I know people that have had homes coming down off of Hawthorne, coming down south on Hawthorne next to the canal there, that have lived there longer than I've been alive. Change is inevitable, but it's not always fair. This is the most fair.
There is a really interesting thing to happen when those four gentlemen, that was a bold move that they made. It came out of nowhere too. What it does to me is if that gets on the comp plan, then Jenica Reynolds in the building department and me, we start turning that to a couplet. And so when somebody comes in for a permit or whatever, inside that loop, I'll say, that's great, I'll give you a permit, but you're gonna give me more right of way on Dewey or Paradise. So I start buying and purchasing and grabbing everything for a future couplet. So 20 years from now, when ITD comes in, I've already been able to get a lot of what they need to finish the couplet. But this is the funny thing. So if ITD doesn't come in, city can start designing a little bit of this on our own, the way we want it.
Yeah,
And
I think we should do.
that's right. And in the meantime, for the next 10, 20 years till the money's here, I can start doing what I need to do. And for instance, too, like if somebody comes in for a big permit and they want to build a 20 by 20 shop in what I think is going to be right away someday, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going to give you that permit. So that's why that needs to get, if everybody wants that needs to get on the comp plan ASAP, so we can start working on that. And the second effect is, this is a real hit at the national highway transportation level. They do care what the city wants. I know they do. And it at least elongates out the process more, but that's not the goal. It could maybe even reverse to where they say to ITD, no.
So has Chief Tominski looked at these? Have you guys solicited his opinion on
Who's that?
Chief Tominski, the fire chief?
Fire chief.
No.
Well, you should.
On emergency? No. Now, we personally haven't, but definitely the Dave Evans and Associates has. There's lots of agencies that have been looking at this, from Valley Ride Transit to, the county. Yeah.
And then how about our wastewater treatment plan?
Well, so that was the thing about alternate two. It absolutely cuts right down the middle of our alfalfa and pilot project that will save millions upon millions of dollars through the years. We will be, if we can't get our pilot plan going and prove that we can take care of our water, we're buying large refrigerators to cool down our poo-poo before we put it into the river. It's millions of dollars. That's why that pilot plan is so critical. And it also cuts off the southern bypass, both of them, alternate 2 and 3. We can't get to our shop also. It goes between City Hall and our shop, and I don't know what they're going to do about that. It's just...
Gonna have to move it.
I don't know.
Well, and to your point, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Planner, but if we did, if council does so choose, and well, I mean, they already have, but as it is going on the comp plan, they made that motion, said, like you said, if we can start, as Commissioner Waltman, Commissioner Gregory, everybody said, ITD's years out from anything. And I can attest to this because when this whole thing started, I was a junior in high school in 1998, and I ran ITD's engineers off my farm because they were traipsing through my rear cornfield without permission, and I wasn't happy. But,
Yeah, they admit to 1999 is
Yeah.
when they started.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get the money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's,
But it was
that's,
part of their 20-year plan.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
it just kind of
the
kept
20-year
pulling
plan.
out.
so
But
when
it
they
was,
start,
that
Yeah.
it started, it was on the 20-year plan.
so we've been doing this, we've been working on this for 10 years, so I'd sit and laugh because I'm like, no. But short story long, with that, going forward, if the city can start doing this, and they can start making improvements, to Commissioner Waltman's point, if we start doing that, we can start improving. If we come through and we can take Boise Avenue, we can start improving that as another east-west route.
Viking Lane, we could get
Yeah.
started on that.
It does two things, just like 9th Street, Willis Street, and all those others that we talked about last week. It does multiple things for us. It allows us to start self-alleviating our problems. Without ITD's assistance, we can start alleviating traffic. Superintendent D, getting that off of Viking Lane, I think is gonna make such marked improvements, we can't even begin to imagine. I think it's gonna be huge. But with all these other east-west routes, if we can start doing improvements on Dewey, on Hawthorne, on this, and connect that, it does two things. It lets us self-alleviate, correct our problems faster, and ITD can fix them for us. And then when ITD does come in, it's like, hey, we've already started making these improvements.
Yep.
And then they kind of, all of a
It
sudden.
kind
all
of
of a sudden
forces their
that-
hand to where we need them.
Exactly.
Madam Planner, I have a couple questions. Do you know when ITD started their Pell study?
I was there, and it's been a year. They typically take a year and a half, maybe a year if it's
Was it
quick.
like the beginning of this year? Or November last year?
Yeah, it was starting like last, I can't remember exactly when. It's been
Seems
about
like
a
it was
year.
fall
Were we done at
last
the trolley
year.
station?
What was that?
Was that about the time we were down at the trolley station?
No, that was.
No, that was the actual
No.
public hearing.
Okay.
They take a good year and a half, and then when it gets up to the federal transportation, that can go longer, depending on if the city's on board or not.
So
Another year or two.
right around this time, maybe October, September last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right here, these north-south routes, based on impact fees that we've collected, if we were to start doing this, as people try to go in here, are these impact fee eligible to where those can be funded with impact fees because they are
No.
infrastructure?
They have to be on the capital improvement plan attached to the impact fee ordinance, and they're not.
Okay.
None of them are. No.
So my main comment was this was a dead deal based on planning and zoning removing it from the comp plan. I think you were on the commission.
Council removed it. We
Council,
didn't.
we,
Council, well, I know, but you guys recommended it for removal.
no,
No,
We didn't.
Well, it was the same time that the riverfront property came in. It was the same
they,
day.
they said
We
no.
didn't recommend though. We wanted to keep it.
Yeah, city council was the one that took it.
City
Council
was
took it
looking-
off. We recommended we keep it on.
You recommended you kept it on with the river point going in as well at the same time.
Yes, with
Yes.
them making it,
We did.
So the way that I perceive this is everybody, I mean, I'm of the opinion that this couplet's the best way to go. It wasn't an issue up until about a year ago. And there's only really one, maybe two people in the city that see a bypass as a viable option.
The southern bypass is a viable
Yeah.
option? Yeah.
There's only one or two people that are pushing for it, and you can hate me if you want to. But this wasn't an issue until somebody made it an election issue last year. And it's the mayor, and she keeps pushing for this issue, even though planners, public works, your planning and zoning commission, and I'm not trying to beat Mayor Hutchinson up. But I feel like despite everybody saying this is the best option for the city moving forward, especially for these residents that live in this area, in the middle. That could all be commercial, C2, high density housing, where they can make a ton of money on their property if they ever decide to move out of downtown. I think having one or two people continue to push an issue one way is very detrimental to this whole entire process.
Well, good news is that an individual can't push it. So
Right.
You know who pushes it is the four gentlemen who are on the city council.
Right.
And
I
with
totally get
your opinion, if you want to weigh in on it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it wasn't an issue until a year ago. Nobody even thought about the bypass. They were all thinking about Riverwalk. They were looking at all this stuff that was going on.
Actually, that started about 4 years before that,
Yeah.
when it
So-
was removed. So it's not just Mayor Hutchison. It started with Mayor Rule, when all of this blew up and said
Yeah.
yes, no,
As
And
far
the
as him
debate
wanting to do a
started.
bypass?
and wanting to do away with it. That was when it started.
So it's
It
been an
wasn't
issue,
Mayor
it's been a
Hutchison.
city issue, really paramount since 2021.
It has been, and the thing about it is, despite the conversation that we have here, no funding is going to happen for any of these highways for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I think to support what you're saying, regardless of whatever election results
Right.
happen, right? I think one of the biggest things the city needs to do is once we develop the comp plan and we have the future land use map and we have those things and we have it to where we've all agreed to it, we've had the input from the city, we've had all of those things and we've got it down and that's just what it is, signed, dotted, boom, done. We don't keep revisiting it.
100%.
That needs to stay locked in. This is our plan for the next 100 years. And we don't
No.
deviate. I'm serious.
But still, you
That's
know,
the biggest issue is we want to change something every 3 years to the comp plan or the future land use. Let's get it down to where it's what we want and leave it that way.
I agree with you 100% there. It doesn't
but I
need to
don't
be.
want it one ways.
Not always.
Not one ways.
And I'll expand on Commissioner Walter. I agree with you there too. And I think we're to a point now with ITD where they actually are doing a pulse study. That's the difference that's another difference between now and then.
5 years ago.
At that point, ITD had said they had never even started an environmental study at that point. It hadn't even been sniffed. They were still. I said at a meeting and I asked ITD, I said, when are you going to be ready to start your environmental study? Within 2 to 4 years to start an environmental study. So now they're actually in the Pell process, so they're actually working on that environmental study. So they fast tracked it. So again, regardless of election or anything, ITD is pushing hard now too.
Well, and one thing I do have to commend our mayor for is she's staying on top of them,
Yes, she is.
which I think
Yes, she
is
is.
which I think is
Yeah,
very
she
good.
sped them up. She
Yeah,
did.
which is a phenomenal thing because this is something that the town's been talking about or kicking the can down the road between Thurber and Darren Taylor and
Yeah.
so I think it's awesome that they're at least trying to come up with a solution. Whether or not we have the money to do it is another story.
How about if I tell you the process now for the next 2 or 3 months, and then you guys can decide what you want me to do or what you want to do. So there's going to be, right now, Dave Evans and Associates and ITD are talking with the National Highway Traffic Safety about some missing items, and so they're working on some bugs right now. And then once they work out whatever those bugs are, we don't know what they are, they're going to do one more meeting with staff and all the agencies, Highway District 4, Valley Ride Transit, Canyon County. I mean, it's a room filled with bureaucratic agencies. And then they'll do one more public workshop down at the middle school. After they meet with us, show us what they're going to do at the public workshop, and then they do it down there. And then after that, they're pretty much going to bring the final recommendation. And it looks like it'll be sometime early spring. It's when it's finally done. So in the meantime, the comment period is still open as a recommending body. You're not allowed to get into city business like that and give them, you can do it as individuals. Any one of you can write a letter, but you can't do it as a P&Z recommending body. So you can say whatever you want to say to city council. I mean, we could write a formal letter if you want, and then I have to bring it back to you, although we may not meet in December. I don't have any things coming. So, or you could kind of tell me what you guys want me to say, and then at the next city council, I'll put it on the agenda to do a report on the P and Z, and it'd be a verbal, so you have to make sure I understand what you want. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's hard.
So,
And it's my fault. It's not my fault, not yours.
well, and with that, we are on a truncated schedule. I said this process has moved quickly. I mean, for ITD, a year and a half is light speed.
It is
Yeah.
like
It's,
speed.
if anybody's ever seen Spaceballs, that's ludicrous speed.
Yes.
They've gone you know,
Got a plaid.
yeah. So with that, I mean, would I like a written recommendation? Yes, I would. But at the same time, I think it's important to move with prudence. And
Right.
I think we've all just between speaking out head nods, we've all seen what we'd like to see, and I think our recommendation to city council would be basically to expand on what they've already made the motion for, which is to get this back on the comp plan and lock it in.
So you
But
said,
to also allow for expansion, you know, if there's a possibility of the city going through and changing to a one-way, or to
Two-way.
two ways going through, right? To foster business growth on both sides, to let us rezone that center section and expand. I mean, I think that's,
Then it gives you another road too, you know, that gives you the option, you wanna go through town, you wanna go this way.
Exactly.
It still gives you that option to move traffic,
Exactly.
especially if it's a two-way. I don't like the one-way.
Well, and when we have the 4th of July parade, we gotta have an alternate route.
Well, I mean,
And you could have it that way.
well, just think about. I mean, think about. I remember when I was a kid, before the July parade was a lot small. It was a lot shorter than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, think about if you had Boise Avenue and you had Main Street, and you could go through and you could shut one all the way down again, and you'd still be able to get through town, so you're not having to
Right,
go through. But you could go
Exactly.
through and like you could wrap through. If you had Dewey and then finished up, I mean, you could have. We still have an amazing 4th of July. Middleton still has an amazing 4th of July. It's bigger now than it was, but I mean,
right.
when I was a kid, it was people. I mean, I still every once in a while I go out to Melba for fireworks. Melba does a fantastic 4th of July. You know, and when I was a kid in Middleton, people would come from Boise to Middleton for the 4th of July. Because they did back then it was in, I call it Tank Park, you know, but it was down the park, and they used to hang a steel wire across the ditch there, and have a beer keg and fire hoses, and they play tug of war with the beer keg across that, and the Oddfellows and Rebecca's would have corn dogs, you know, and it's like that. It was awesome. I mean, I see something like this, you know, like we talked about Middleton wanting to keep the small town feel. This keeps the small town filled. Is it gonna grow? Yeah, it's gonna grow. But this keeps it. We don't need 55 miles an hour through Middleton. Do we need to help move traffic? Sure we do.
well, this option, you got 3 ways.
Exactly.
Because you already have a road that's built down at the bottom.
This is. It comes to a point where you say, like, you know, we said this last meeting. We sat there and I'm horrible. I always forget his name, but the gentleman that's doing the comp plan.
Ben Levenger.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. But he kept saying, you know, do you really want to tangle with ITD? You bet. Yeah,
This is we
Pack a
really
lunch.
I mean,
yeah.
it doesn't hurt to
you
tell
know,
them how
put a
we
little thing
feel.
on there, like, I ain't scared. You know, it's and council, and I don't think council's scared either. We've got a strong mayor. We have a strong council. Let's make. I mean, I'll take a motion to make a recommendation to council verbally through Ms. Stewart, and we kind of go through.
Yeah, you guys just tell me word for word what your recommendation is, and then I'll just,
Well, before you do that, did everybody get a chance
Yeah,
to speak
let's
on
get-
the?
yeah, sorry. Before we make a motion, yeah. Is there anybody else that wants to have? I mean, that's why we're.
I mean, I think it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't cut the city in half. You know, it makes commercial property in the middle there. That's something that's needed here. The one way I see that as it like a necessary evil. Really, I mean, I don't know how you get where you doing 2 ways both ways. I don't see how that works.
we may not have the right of way for
On the
it, which
ITD
is,
side, I don't see how they would go for that, but I mean, makes the most sense to me.
What difference would it make?
Oh, I put my 2 cents in here and there. I'm good.
With that, if anybody, I mean, take a crack at it.
Can I make a motion?
Commissioner Sparrow.
I motion that we as a Planning and Zoning Commission support the recommendation by the City Council to add alternate 4 to the bypass plan as they had proposed and make it part of the comprehensive plan.
Do you want to name item 4? Item 4 couplet?
Yeah, it'll be that in full
Yeah.
couplet. And
Item
I'll write
four.
I'll state that specifically.
Verbal recommendation.
Yeah.
Verbal recommendation, and the only thing I might add on to that was as this commission sees it, best to alleviate traffic while still fostering growth and existing business.
Did you want to talk about why the southern bypass is no good?
No.
Um,
They already know why.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, don't want to go there.
yeah,
All right.
Short and sweet.
yeah.
Second.
I second.
Why don't we do a roll call vote on this one, just to put everybody's voice on the record? Do you want to call for a roll call? What?
Can we get a roll call by the deputy clerk on the motion?
Sure can. Commissioner Trumbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltmate,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregory,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
My
That's it.
grave.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Madam Planner. We appreciate your time and your input on that. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I thought it was important that we got a chance to get the input we can. I said this is the biggest thing affecting our town right now.
Good idea.
For the 4th of July, I'll have a Marine A4 fighter jet in my cul-de-sac.
Sweet.
I had it
Oh,
last year,
nice.
so this year I have to do the A4 fighter jet, and I'm gonna have 2, what are the little jets called back in the day?
We wouldn't know what it
Thunderbirds.
is
I'm
anyway.
gonna have 2 Thunderbirds do a flyover.
You are not.
Yeah.
You are not.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, this year I had a Marine A4 fighter jet parked in the cul-de-sac.
I like
Sweet.
it. Was it call sign Viper?
No, actually, it was a funny story because this guy builds jets, right, for clients. He builds working jets. So he finds all the parts, he tries to match them all together, and he searches the entire country for parts and brings them all together to build a custom jet that's functional.
Pass that down.
I
So
love it. I
Here's a
love it.
picture of it.
That's
Yeah.
That's anybody that say Top Gun.
that's my
That's
cul-de-sac.
Nice.
Marine A4 fighter jet.
You can put that on Facebook?
I don't do Facebook.
Perfect.
Facebook is a virus.
Nice.
All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to public comments. We're going to open public comments at 6:48 p.m. All right. First, we have Don Reynolds. You on your own.
45 TVs, Walcott Lake Court, Middleton, at home. First of all, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate the work done by this board individually and as a group. I always appreciate those who are willing to give to the community. I've been to, I think, all the ITD meetings as well, from I-84 all the way into Star. I've listened to these projects since Jeff Wardell spoke on this when the council first took this off the plan. I think he's got some good things to say there that I don't think have been addressed still. But I think the most important part of what we're doing here tonight is as a body, it's important for the city to be able to plan so that people can themselves plan, predict, and know what to expect. And I think that's the thing that was spoken by Commissioner Waltmate, is we need to be able to know what to expect moving forward. And I think ITD, I've been in meetings where I know, for professionally, where I know that they're concerned about the traveling public, and I think that's an important thing to consider and remember that those folks are doing their job just as well. But I also know that there's a lot of misplanning and disagreement, and I don't know how many times have we done the Midway Karcher interchange in the last 10 years, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of restrictions on their side, but I appreciate their work, and I know they're trying. I think the thing that, as a body, I hope we are able to share with them is that we are the regional traffic. We are the traffic that's on and off 44. And as a city, I hope that we take into consideration that our role is to make sure we have access onto, off of, and across whatever bypass or alternate route they put in play. For me, personally, I would go with the first route. I think Highway 44 is where it is. People who bought and built there knew there was a highway in their front door, and they should expect and plan that, and to change that up makes it a little bit hard. The couplet, I like it as my next option, but I think those folks on Boise Street are going to be impacted, and I think it's hard. I just came from Utah this weekend, and I watched those roads build farther and farther out into the farm fields, and then get built up and developed around them, and I'm waiting for ITD to do the same thing. Unfortunately, I don't think they're there yet, but I appreciate the work you're doing. Thanks for doing the things you're doing. I hope that there's conversations with businesses downtown, because I think there's, the more conversations I've had, there's more in favor of using and the existing route rather than trying to change it up and changing traffic patterns. In the end, 5 years, 10 years down the road, we're going to adapt, we're going to change, and hopefully what's going to make this feel like a small town is that we're still neighbors, we're still friendly. We can hear alternate ideas. I know I've heard ideas that I've disagreed with in the past, that hopefully we can at least respect those ideas for what they are. And I appreciate your example in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Grave?
Mike Grafe, 1889 Ridgeway. I agree with Don on the existing Highway 44. I'm not one that's trying to hold us back as a city or anything else, but in some of my travels through Idaho, and I've been here for 52, 53 years, there's small towns all around. Don marked stimulated my memory on Ashton. Is a town, there's highway going right through that. There's towns going east of us in eastern Idaho, southeastern Idaho, that go through small towns. I don't see a problem. My brother lives in Kuski, and I came down from Kuski on the 4th of July weekend. On the 4th of July. Needless to say, I was stuck in Grangeville. Because when they have the parade, the street is shut down. So, hey, what is the whole country about? Celebrating the 4th of July and what we won at that point in time and all the rest of it. I don't want to diminish any of that. And quite frankly, I don't care how long it takes to get from I-84 to say Highway 16. That's not my problem. My problem is when I try to get out of here in the morning to take an early appointment, you either got to do it early, or you got to do it kind of mid-morning to late morning and early afternoon. Otherwise, the rest of it is whatever. But I can't see where this bypass is going to create anything any better. One thing that could be done, instead of worrying about the bypass, is route the school traffic behind the school and come out on Cemetery. And divert a lot of that traffic off of 44, the existing highway, which would help everything. It would help the school, it would help the citizens, and it'd help the passerbys going through. I just can't, for the life of me, and I keep hearing this, a small town, I love the small town, I want to keep the small town feel. I can't, I scratch my head, and I say to myself, how can we putting 2 highways through the heart of Middleton maintain a small town feel? I just don't get it. Like Don, some of the other people were saying, now you're cutting the city into thirds between the bypass and the river, between that there and the existing highway, and then going north. If ITD wants to do something to move traffic going to the east, improve Highway 44 and take 9th Street or I forget
Willis or
which.
Willis, maybe?
No, well, Willis would be another one they could do, or even go a little farther north than that, Purple Sage. Purple Sage already, you gotta wider out a little bit, but you end up on Highway 16. But is this Goddard? Is the next one up?
It's Galloway and
Or
Good.
Galloway.
Yeah.
Galloway, the next one up.
That's
Make
in the
another
plans.
a deal there and go to Highway 16. Our problem getting out of here is not all the time it's east and west. It's north and south. We don't have any north and south. The only place you can cross the river is on that old rickety steel bridge out on River Road or whatever it is, or Middleton Road, or going in the Star. And there you got Star Road and Highway 16. We got nothing between Star and us. And I'm way over my time, which I apologize for.
I was watching you. I
Yeah.
just
You were
wasn't
being
paying
very
attention.
gracious in what you were doing. But anyway, you guys, you're all trying, and I appreciate all of that, but I just, we're building a better mousetrap. And a frickin' mousetrap is a mousetrap is a mousetrap. Just improve on what we got here, and I honestly don't believe that bypass is an improvement.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you, Mike.
thank you.
All right, well, that's all we have for public comments, so we will close public comments at 6:56. And commission staff comments?
I don't think we're gonna meet in December. I might have a design review, in a new building out there where, the dollar store, Dollar Tree are, they're trying to bring in another pad, but they're just not putting their application in, so.
Okay.
So if they don't come in, I think we'll be off for Christmas.
Okay. All right, well, I'd hate to miss everybody, we got Santa Claus at the table already, so, if anybody wanted to be an elf or anything, probably good, but. Commissioner Sparrow?
No Christmas party? Well, I was just gonna say, this is probably my last meeting then.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Next December is your last, okay.
But if we don't have a meeting,
Well,
You might wanna say goodbye tonight.
well, that's what I was gonna say. I want.
As I say, if we don't have a meeting, will it carry over, or does that carry to the?
No.
to the-
No, there's
Okay.
just
No.
no meeting
Perfect.
canceled.
Perfect, all right, perfect.
No, so if it is my last meeting, I appreciate every single one of you up here. It's been a pleasure to get to know you all. We might not always agree on or see things the same way, but at least we can have a discussion and come to an agreement where, as Ben put it, when people leave mildly upset, that means you've accomplished something, right? Instead of having one person be mad and one person be happy, if you're both kind of disgruntled, then I think you accomplished things. But it has been a pleasure to serve on this commission and to get to meet you fine people, and I just wish you guys the best moving forward and planning for this community, and just appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Well,
Madam Planner.
Thank you.
I will echo.
You too, bud.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Say Commissioner Sparrow, you've done a fantastic job on here. Your input is great. You know more about state code than a lot of people. Having Ray back helps me out a little bit on that because he's pretty good on that stuff too. But having that input is it's invaluable and it makes this commission better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, anybody else?
I'll hug you after we adjourn.
Welcome aboard. With that, we'll adjourn at 6:50.